What's up, YouTube? Unfortunately, the time to decommission the sound system of my Ranger is upon me. You can see the underhood battery setup it has, and it's starting to get dark, but I'll show you guys a quick peek of the system before it comes out. It's a rat nest at the moment. This system was originally this box was originally built for Alpine Type Rs, and it was just supposed to be a temporary install, and I've done some work over the years, but it's all just thrown in there at the moment, and it's gonna all come out because this truck has multiple issues that I'm probably not going to address. Don't mind the sound of the air compressor running in the back, and hopefully this clip's not too dark, but you can see there's a secondary battery down there, one of the amps mounted at the front, and just a glimpse of what a rat's nest it really is in here. Almost embarrassing to make a video of it, but it's all coming out, so that's gonna be that. Just getting to this point has been quite the pain in the butt so far. Very difficult to get these woofers out of the baffle by yourself without tearing anything up. But on to the next one. Alright, that's the second 15 removed, and now it's time to get this box out of here. Here's the subwoofer enclosure removed from the truck, and the big hole left where it came out. What a mess, YouTube. And it's hard to see because it's starting to get dark, but my speaker amp way up under there, and here's where the other subwoofer amp was mounted. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish ripping this all out. And of course, thanks to Murphy, that lousy guy, once I got the subwoofers back in here and just decided to test them out inside, I discovered that one of them has an issue, and we'll see if we can pick it up on camera. The other one sounds fine. You can see the little bits of wood chips or whatever it is dancing around on the cone. It's not a huge deal since recone kits are readily available for these subs for about $99, but it's money I really didn't want to spend. I had suspected there was an issue with one of the subs. I'd heard a rattle in the truck, but I wasn't sure if it was the subwoofers or just something else in the truck that had rattled loose. But it's definitely that subwoofer making some noise, so I'm going to pull it out and investigate, but more than likely it's going to need a recone kit installed. I pulled the subwoofer out, and the tensile leads are fine, and the voice coil actually looked really good. Doesn't seem to be burnt at all or anything, but there's some rub. That's why at real low volumes it sounded okay, but once you turn it up past a certain point and the excursion reaches a certain point, you would encounter that rub. So this one's definitely going to need a recone kit, assuming that nothing fell down in the gap that I can blow out with air, but I think that's probably unlikely. I think that this one just has an issue and is going to need to be replaced. So not the end of the world, but it's the kind of thing you deal with when you have high-powered audio systems. While I'm on the topic of these subwoofers, I must say that it's not the subwoofer's fault it's had an issue in this instance. I wouldn't say. This enclosure was built, I think I mentioned before, for some Alpine Type R15s, and it's tuned much lower than these subs are really recommended to be tuned. I think this box is tuned around 32 Hertz. And I've really pushed them pretty hard at pretty low frequencies, and not always used a lot of common sense, just really railed on them. So I'm going to say that the subwoofer is not to be blamed at all. And another thing, this enclosure seems to have issues with the subs unloading, usually the far subwoofer over there, because the port is over here on this side of the enclosure. So if I could do it all again, I would have built this enclosure with a center port so it would be balanced. But not SoundQ's fault by any means. These are still excellent subwoofers, and like I said before, it won't be too much pain or cost to get it rebuilt, so that's the route I'm probably going to go. For anyone who saw my batteries and was curious about the terminals, these are Toolmaker battery terminals that have 8 inputs each that accept 0 gauge. They have set screws, and as you can see there, I had a little mishap. Not today, this happened a while ago, but luckily the fuse blew. As you can see, I got a nice burn on one of the terminals. And also, one of the set screws, there it is right there, came undone and got loose in the truck at some point, and I haven't recovered it as of yet. And since the theme of this video so far has been rat nests, I also brought this thing out. Might be the smallest amplifier you guys will see on this channel. There it is next to the 8-inch Frankenstein speakers. It's one of these cheap eBay amplifiers. I think it was like $13 shipped, but even though it claims 500 watts and it's nowhere near that, it still sounds pretty good paired up with a decent set of speakers, and has enough power to push these, even though realistically it's probably more like 5 watts per channel instead of 500. Another reason it was time for this sound system to come out is the water was infiltrating the cabin of the truck. You can see this battery's pretty crusty, and some of that's due to the rain infiltration, and it's hard to see, but the label on this battery is actually crumpled up a little bit from moisture inside the cab, so that's definitely not a good thing. So I'm glad I went ahead and got my expensive equipment out of that truck before something worse happened to it. Just a quick look at subwoofer amplifiers I use in my truck before I conclude this video. These are Rockford Fosgate T1000 BD constant power models. I'll just briefly show you the controls. The infrasonic filter is fixed at I think 28 Hertz. Has the punch EQ bass boost, gain and crossover controls. These are 1-channel amplifiers, mono amplifiers, and RCA inputs and pass-throughs, and the 4-gauge power and ground terminals. Not a whole lot interesting to do with these amplifiers when they're not in a car making some noise. I wouldn't even want to try and power these things on with my power supply. So probably going to wrap this video up, but hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I'm sure there will be new adventures for this equipment in the future. We're going to do a quick bass test, rubbing voice coil and all. I want to just run that last bass sweep again because this whole house was shaking. That was pretty impressive, even with the subs not mounted in the box, just sitting in it. actually trip the thermal protection on the amplifier. Use common sense. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a happy Thanksgiving.